Does anyone believe me at this point? Oh, there you are. Yes, my face was in creepy mode. That's why it was looking like that as a type thing, but who cares? Anyway, so, so here's a new series that I'm trying to start. It's the series where I'd, tell you stories of my life. Yeah. It's like a Michael Rosen type thing where, Michael Rosen, tells, stories and stuff about what's happened in life. And I want to try to do, the same type thing, but, not completely copy Michael Rosen, but tell stories that happened, which are actually pretty cool. And I've got some pretty cool stories, but let me know if you want me to do more of these, if you want to hear more stories of my life. But this one is the fact that actually I'm over 9,000 years old. And you're probably thinking, how is this possible? I mean, Frony has always said that he's only 14 years old. Well, you've been wrong all along, and I've been wrong myself. I don't know why I keep telling everyone that I'm 14 when actually I'm over 9,000. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how is Frony to Bob supposed to be over 9,000? Well, here's the story. So, as you know, you would expect, it started over 9,000 years ago, back in around 7001 BC, and which is the day that I was born, and I was born in the country of La La Land. Yeah, of course, and La La Land does exist. Yeah, it's on the map. It's 2,000 miles off the coast of somewhere. I would say where, but I don't want to give it away, because otherwise somebody might try and find me, so I can't give away where I exactly live. So I'm just gonna say that I live in New England. Yeah. Anyway, so it started back then. That's when I was born, and then my life was going well. I was aging really well. I was doing a lot of awesome stuff. We were building up the country of La La Land, building the most advanced high-speed rail service to ever be built, the most advanced one, and La La Land relies very heavily on trains, and because they hate planes. Reason being is that so many planes have crashed ever since the first one, ever since the first ever plane crash. Ever since then, there have been many more. And for that reason, La La Land hates planes, so they rely heavily on trains, because trains are a lot more reliable, which is important, and they go very fast. Yep. I mean, trains don't yet go as fast as planes, but they probably will at some point in the future. Anyway, so moving on from there. Now, here's the big thing that makes me look like I'm a 14-year-old. So it was the date of September 11th, 2001. Yep, it was on 9/11. And I was riding in one of the planes that was gonna crash into the Twin Towers. And I think it was the plane that crashed second into the Twin Towers. And so, the plane crashed into the building, and I died. Yep, I died from that. I thought I was lost forever. But no, hope came. 1 month later, in October 9th, 2001, I was reincarnated. Yes, reincarnated. So I was reincarnated, I was brought back to life. However, my over 9,000-year-old body was stuck in the rubble of the Twin Towers. And for that reason, that body couldn't be restored because it was decapitated, and so I had to be reborn in a new baby body. And for that reason, everyone thought that I was as old as I looked, which really, really annoyed me, because I tried to tell the whole world that I was so old and so mature. But because everyone thought that I was as old as I looked, yep, I'm being a bit stuttery right now. Since everyone thought that I was as old as I looked, I had to start my life from scratch all over again. Like when I was Like I had to go to preschool over again and kindergarten, and kindergarten was a nightmare for me because there was this really scary teacher. Because back then because I was so small, I thought this big teacher was. She was always crabby and stuff. She was like, "Hey, Frody, did you pee on the gosh darn floor?" Man, I hated that teacher. She didn't torture me, but she was always yelling in my ears, always getting annoyed for stupid reasons. I just hated that lady. She was the worst, one of the worst teachers I have ever known in my whole life. So yeah, kindergarten was scary. I went through a few scary years, but then I went to 4th grade, and 4th grade was the best grade ever because I was in a class which had children which were mentally disabled. And for that reason, there wasn't many of them, and the teachers didn't know how. The teachers were rookies, and they didn't really know how to be teachers. Well, they did, but they were only rookies, and they made a lot of rookie mistakes. And for that reason, I was so free I could do whatever the heck I wanted to. I could run around the classroom. I could ride a bike in the thing. I could even run kids down if they annoyed me very badly, even though there was a few kids who were pretty broken in the brain and pretty dumb. Like I think there was this one kid who was, well, his name was Artis, but we all called him Fartis because he was always farting and stuff. And one day I called him that name, and he pushed me over, and yeah. And after that, he was sent to. He was suspended for a few days, and I enjoyed the time while he was away. And then when I went to the thingy grade, I met this kid called Franklin, and we were not the best of friends. We were not. We always fighted each other. We hated each other a lot. He hated me. I hated him. At one point, I banged my knee against this bar type thing, and that it did not feel well. And yeah, even though I really liked that teacher, she would, every time I got all upset and stuff with this other kid, she would like grab me and hold me there until I calmed down. Of course, I never calmed down, so I was stuck there for an hour. I was like, "Is this the end of my life? Someone help me!" Thankfully, it wasn't. I thought it was the end of me, but it wasn't. Thank God that she didn't have to hold me for the rest of my life. Anyway, moving on from there. So then 5th grade was the first grade where I was going back into with students who actually had the talent that I did. And I actually did a pretty cool thing in 5th grade, but that's another life story that I'll tell in future. So yeah, then I finished in elementary school, and then I did this grades and stuff, and it wasn't until the 8th grade where it was a big moment in my life, ever since my death in 9/11. Yes, and I met this kid. I did mention his name a while back. It was during my Praise Deserve Turns Up project. His name was Raymond, and he just so happened to be the person that I was sitting next to in the plane that crashed into the building. And he was just like me, like he was reincarnated, and I saw him for the first time ever since we died together. And then it made me think all the way back to 9/11 when I was about to crash into the Twin Towers. I held his hand, and we braced, and we prepared to die. Then it wasn't until this lunch that I had in 8th grade that I met Raymond, and at first I thought it was just any average Raymond, but then he told me the story, and it made me think back, and then I thought it was the Raymond that I died with in 9/11, and of course he had to go through the same punishment as me, where he was born in a new baby body, and he had to start his life from scratch. And but his life didn't seem to be as much of a roller coaster as mine. But I'll talk about that in another video, if there is a video. So yeah, so I met Raymond, and hey you, go on a dirt track where you belong. Man, those motorcycles are annoying. Anyway, so back to the story. So yeah, and Raymond, while his DNA was being restored, it definitely had a screw loose. Yeah, Raymond always tried to be funny, and he ended up being stupid. And even though many people liked his comedy, I thought it really, really, really annoying. So that was that. Now here I am today. In a new body, but in a very old but very bright mind. And the future continues on from here. And that concludes this video. So that is the story that I am over 9,000 years old. A lot of you people might not believe this story, but they say that seeing is believing, or in this case, hearing is believing. Well, maybe not believing, but then you have to believe with your heart. But yeah, so that's the story. If you want me to tell you about more stories, because I've got some pretty cool stories up my sleeve that I can tell you guys that it's true, it's awesome, and it is pretty awesome. But let me know if you want me to keep coming and tell these stories. Maybe I'll do one later on tonight if you're lucky. But that is it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.